Morning Blues, I'm Laney, you're you. This is the Manchester's Blue Breakfast Show. How are we all doing this morning? It was a good win last night. Must admit it wasn't exactly what I had on the cards. I think last night was like, I think you got the same feeling as if you're going to cook a fried egg, and when you go to crack the egg you realise it's a double yolk. It's a good win, confident win, and I think it was a real boost, which is, honestly, I think it's not just what the team needed, I think it's what we all needed. Morning Tom, Lorraine. Right, like I said, it's going to be all about comments and stuff today, but a bit of news to start with regarding the one everyone seemed to want a few weeks ago, Lionel Messi. So as soon as Bartomeu has resigned, it's already all over the newspaper. I think it was the Telegraph. He's already looking at possibly extending his contract at Barcelona. So I think we can all move on from the Leo Messi shenanigans. Let's start with we'll start with the young gun first. We'll start with Eric Garcia. Okay. Now, I forget which publication this was actually reported in, but it's alleged that Garcia has already told his close friends and family that he is going back to Spain in either January or the end of the season. Okay? He's already made his mind up. Apparently it's for personal reasons. Whether it's because he's homesick or he feels his career's better suited over there, I don't know. But from all accounts, his mind is made up. And he's going. That being the case, why on earth are we still playing him? Whether he's a professional or not, why are we still playing him? I mean, personally, I like him. You know, his quality is unquestionable. But if he doesn't want to be here, what kind of message is that sending out to the players who do want to be here? You know, not just your young guns like Howard Bellis or anything, but even your senior ones like Stones. What message is that saying to them? I'd rather play someone who doesn't want to be here over you. You know, it's a bit... I really don't get it. And we've already seen this season he's made a couple of howling mistakes, Garcia. So you've got to question, is his mind actually in the game still? I'm very much of the mind. I think it's time for him to go back to the EDS and maybe promote one of the other ones in his spot, personally. Like I said, I think if he doesn't want to be here, you know, send him home, let him pack his bags. Let us know what you think. Christopher Fons, morning mate. Garcia plays because Pep needs him in shape when he goes back to Barcelona. So you think Pep's on his way back to Barca? Okay. Neil Horrell got the right score against Porto, but wrong goal scorer. Yeah, I did. I thought. Well, I was thinking Aguero would have got a couple, but I mean, to be fair, whenever I do pull a bet on, I never do correct goal scorers because anything can happen with regards to goal scorers, and half the time, you know, you think it's a goal by one player, and then it gets chalked up as an offside, an own goal or something. So, let's see what else we got. So, my dad, he says same as Sane. He doesn't want to be here, then sod. Yeah, I presume it's sod off. Yeah, you don't want to be here. Let's play someone who does. Play someone who wants to play for the shirt. Lee Johnston, morning mate. So Pep says he's still trying to convince Garcia to stay. Well, yeah, but if he wants to go, that's like, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I mean, what's he going to do? We've already offered him a contract. I'm guessing effectively we could offer him whatever kind of wage he wants, but if he's aren't set on Barca, cut your losses, tell him to bugger off. How good does Diaz and Laporte look together? And Paul Nichols. Well, I will get onto the Marseille performance properly. I'll go through that in a bit, but yeah, they look like a very strong partnership. Neil Horrell said this to me last week. Why isn't Stones getting any minutes? Exactly. It honestly makes you question what's going on with John Stones. I mean, I must admit, in the summer, I was all for selling the guy. I think he needed a new start, new chance, new opportunities. Just get gone, shake hands. Thanks very much for that goal line clearance against Liverpool, and enough's enough kind of thing. Pep's kept him, said he's going to get a chance. We've got Nathan Aké's now out for however long. Garcia doesn't want to be here. Laporte's only just come back from a niggle, and he's hardly getting any minutes. It's like, what is going on there? I think this season, I honestly think there's a lot going on behind closed doors that we don't know about, and it's at City. I think a lot is going on, which I'm not happy about. I don't think it's good for the club when you end up with things like that. I sense there's a bit of tension, possibly between Pep and the board, Pep and some of the players. I mean, up until last night, you think about the performances we've had this season, they've been far from what we're expecting at Man City. We've been very off the boil. So, a few concerns from my point of view. Chris Fons, so yeah, you think Pep's going to Barca and we'll get Julian Nagelsmann? I'll be very happy with that. I'd be very happy with Nagelsmann. I think he's the next one to take us forward. I've said it before, for me it's between two Germans. It depends on whether I go with my heart or my head. Common sense and logic also, my head it says Nagelsmann, but my heart wants Rosler. Yeah, I think Rosler would be great with this team. So, Lorraine Raxel, Phil Foden scored. Yeah, he did. Against Porto. So, is that Usama Kelmemi? Let's be honest, Garcia makes less mistakes than Stones and is often fit when the latter is not so. I don't know, Garcia's made plenty of mistakes this season and we've not had a real chance to see what Stones is doing. I think he's only made like 1 or 2 appearances so far. Is that Mujahid? Sorry, Muji. Why does Mahrez get so much stick from our local fan base? I think I speak for everybody from the local fan base. It's because he is a greedy shit bastard. Quite frank, I'm sorry, Muji. He may be one of Algeria's finest exports, but he's a greedy get. He's predictable. I mean, I said it on, if anyone was listening to GMR last week, I thought it was quite funny. I got a phone call from BBC Radio Manchester asking me for my opinion before the Porto game, and I said it straight. Stevie Wonder can see what he's going to do. And the man's blind. All he does is get the ball out wide, cuts inside on his left, and has a shot. And I've asked the admins, can anyone tell me? And I'll ask everyone watching this. Can anyone honestly tell me now an incident? Well, a match where Mahrez has played well. Not saying man of the match performance, but where you've said Mahrez has had a good game, where he hasn't scored. Because we all know about, was it against Leicester a couple of years ago? He scored a good goal, and it was like, yeah, we won 1-0, well done Mahrez, thank you. But, again, that's just because he's taking a shot, and every now and then it'll go in. Nah, he's not a team player. Why Pep loves him so much, I honestly don't know. Hidi Bukra. So maybe making him play to raise his value. See, that's one way of looking at it, but then the problem with that is we're only going to get any money for him now is if he signs a contract extension, which he's not going to do. In January, he could be signed on a pre-contract, and we lose him at the end of the season for nothing. And I can't imagine anyone paying more than £10 million for him in January, knowing full well they can get him for nothing. So that ship has sailed, I'm afraid. Christopher Garcia is not that good. Pep should be on his knees to keep him at City. Bench him and play others that want to stay in City. Yeah, play the ones who want to play there. Report kicking Torres up the backside already. Yeah, he's got some leadership qualities as Laporte. I do like him in that role. Muji, now Manchester born and bred. Good lad. I wasn't saying that, you weren't part of the local fan base. I'm just saying in general that the local fan base don't like him because he's a lazy shit. If you like him, I want to know why. Jack Brown, Garcia, shite, let him go. Lloyd Samuel said, the word greedy, we all know who that's aimed at. Again, only passes when he's about to lose it or when he wants it straight back. Yep. That's what he's been told to do, though. Really? Why would one player be told that when the rest of the team are told to pass? And I'd love to know how he's been told that, to be honest, Christopher Fons, yeah, Rosler's a stud over there in Norway. He's a stud everywhere, mate. One thing's for damn sure, all of you race players are in insane shape and always play with insanely, hard. They do. Like I said, my father-in-law's a Wigan season ticket holder, and he knows a lot of people who are sort of linked in with the board over at Wigan. The problems he had at Wigan all stem from pre-season training, and the players didn't like it because it was, in their eyes, too tough. A couple of them got injuries and they all started effectively rebelling. So, oh, bloody phones. Sorry, mate. There we go. Not quite set up in my new place yet. Look. Mahrez never runs back to support Walker. That's his real... Yeah, he doesn't track back much. As Johnston, this year is going to be crazy with COVID. City not too far away. Once Laporte and Diaz cement their partnership and get a run of games together, we'll be fine. I'd have fit De Bruyne and Aguero into the... I'm guessing it's into the mix. We'll be there or thereabouts this season. Well, I hope you're right. Yeah, Dan Fielden, thanks, mate. He is world class, isn't he? We all know that. Right, I'm going to move on to Pep. Oh, no. Sorry, we've got Mahrez first, since we've been chatting about Mahrez. Mahrez's pre-match comments. For any of you who didn't see it, he was... I don't quite know why. I never quite got why players sit alongside a manager before a game, for a pre-match press conference. Unless it's the captain or a brand new signing who's making a debut. I don't get it at all, but oh well. Mahrez was at the press conference and has come out and basically said that everyone's tired. Playing a game every 3 days, everyone's tired, blah, blah, blah. Okay. First of all, I don't know how he can be tired. Because he doesn't run, he doesn't track back, he barely moves. He moves as quickly, as I said it the other night, didn't I? He moves as quickly as I do when somebody says free salad bar. I thought that was quite funny. As for the whole oh, we're playing every 3 days and stuff. It's like, yeah, I know. Playing 90 minutes at professional sport, it does take its toll. It is intense levels that you're playing at. But we have a squad that's big enough to cope with that, surely. Surely with sensible rotation, everyone gets the thing. And on top of that, everyone's in the same boat. Every team are going through that. I mean, you look at the likes of teams like Burnley or Bournemouth or, not Leeds, because Leeds have bought a whole load of players, but, Wolves have sold a few. Teams like that, they haven't got the squad depth that City do. I mean, you look at the top of the table, well, no, don't look at the top of the table at the minute, because it's not as it should be. But if you look at the top teams, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, they've got a good deep squad, and then they've got very talented young youth players as well, who could also act as cover or come on as substitutes. So the squad depth is there. To turn around and say, "Oh, everyone's tired," it's I think it's nonsense, to be quite frank. It all depends on how you play your game. It's just one of and I know there's been quite a few injuries, not just with City this season, with other teams as well. Even Pep said, I think it was something like 47% increase in muscle injuries since the start of this season, and that's across the board, But and Niall Donnelly. No, of course I didn't mention the bloody Rags. They're not a top team, are they, anymore? All they've got to compete for is the derby. But is that Julian Galatano? See, he's just put on someone who's on 200k a week. Said he's tired. That's your job, so run. I was trying my best. Not to be comparing like the type of job he does, because I'm sure there's people sat here watching now thinking, "Hold on, you're saying you're tired? Try working a bloody 50-hour week or something daft. With a wife and kids at home that you got to feed and all that. Then you would know what tired is." That side of it, I mean, again though, it's like the training. Everyone knew before the season started what the schedule was going to be like. Everyone knew it was going to be thick and fast games. Everyone knew, it's going to be a physical strain. So if that's the case, surely they should be adapting to that. Surely training sessions should be a bit lighter. Surely the way, they prepare for matches should be different. I mean, there's people who literally go to the gym, 4 or 5 days a week on top of a physically demanding job, and yet they don't come away with injuries and all that sort of stuff. So it does make you wonder again, a lot of people have questioned like the physios and the medical staff at City at the moment. Maybe that needs to be seriously looked at. Their nutritionists, the people telling them how many miles they've got to run, how they've got to run it. Something needs to give, because we are getting a ridiculous amount of injuries, especially to the players who we already know have got injury concerns. Aguero, Laporte. We know they're not injury prone as such, but they do get more niggles than most, so they've got to be managed better. But yeah, I think the whole thing that I thought it was quite funny that he was the one that said everyone's tired. I mean, if Kyle Walker turned around and said it, then fair enough, understandable, because that guy doesn't stop running. But for Mahrez to say it, I thought was a bit funny. So I'm going to move on to Pep and what he said in the press. He's turned around and said that in the pre-season, during the transfer window, City wanted a striker. According to the Sky article that I read, they put that they couldn't afford a backup. I hadn't seen anything where it said that Pep had mentioned a backup striker, but bottom line is, City wanted a striker, but decided we couldn't afford one. Okay. They looked at it and said, we got Aguero, we got Jesus, Gabriel Jesus, don't need one. So, okay. Now, every City fan knew we needed a striker. I think on the poll that I did, apart from left back, I think it was like one of either first or top result that we all wanted a striker. We know Gabriel Jesus isn't an out-and-out striker. And we know Aguero, there's no way Aguero can go a full season without getting an injury. So, surely that should have been a priority. We spend £40 million on a Championship centre-back, which, he's been good. I'm not going to knock Aki. He's performed a lot better than I expected. But at the end of the day, he was still a Championship centre-back. And we paid £40 million for him. We paid £20 million for a winger that hardly seems to get game time. I know he's appeared in 4 games now. He scored in 2 and created 2. The guy's on fire. 2 goals in 2 Champions League appearances and 2 assists in the other match. He's good going. But he doesn't get a lot of game time. He's not playing many Premier League games or getting, 4 appearances. How many games we played over 10? So that seems to be money that could have been put towards a striker. But I pointed out to the admins, he's saying we can't afford one. You've got the was it 40? I think it was about £40 million that Chelsea paid for Timo Werner. The 42 million, I think it was, for 40 million that Liverpool paid for Diogo Jota. You could say the just over £5 million that Atletico Madrid paid for Luis Suarez, or possibly even the sweet FA that United paid for Cavani. Are you telling me you couldn't afford any one of them with the players that we've got? The money we've got, the players we could have used in Part X, the money we should have got for players. I mean, Sane went for an absolute bag of peanuts. That was an insult. Yeah, he's saying we can't afford one. And I know even in the press conference, I think he mentioned the likes of Delap. Well, we've already got Delap. He rarely uses the lad. Everybody knows Pep won't use youth. He won't trust youth. He's not going to... We've got Liverpool coming up. Aguero might be doubtful. Gabriel Jesus isn't playing. He's not going to put Delap up top, is he? In the starting 11. It was... I think it was Fred Ayr said yesterday on the... on Radio Manchester, in the pre-match talk. We had a Lilliputian strike force. Our front 3 were no taller than my shoulders. They were all short asses. Which, when you've got a large centre back, I know they've got a few players out, and Van Dijk won't be playing, but they've still got a tall back line. It's nonsense to turn around and say, "Oh, can't afford one." Piss off. Don't take the mick, You're saying you can't afford 3, and yet we had Tixi Bergestein and Ferran Serrano or whatever. They were off on the way to Barcelona, sniffing around Messi, saying, "Oh yeah, we'll be able to afford this." It honestly beggars belief. And on top of what Pep said, I can't remember the name of that other board member, but there was one who was saying, "Yeah, we'd have money for this, that, and the other in the transfer market." So you've got one bloke, you've got board members saying, yes, we've got the money to spend. And then you've got the manager now coming out saying, we didn't have the money to spend. It's just one saying one thing, one saying another. There's something, to me, there's something going on behind closed doors that we don't know about. I think the board are starting to not see quite eye to eye with Pep. I think Pep's getting a bit frustrated, which could be why he's performed as badly as he has been doing recently. I know we won yesterday, I know we won a couple of games, but it's farcical in my point of view. We know we needed a striker. I know City Dave has said that maybe the board are holding the money back for whoever we get next summer, so we can have a big splash out. Which I think is obviously going to be what we need, because as it stands, Aguero's leaving next summer, Fernandinho's leaving next summer, and Pep. So we're going to have a new manager who'll have his own way of doing stuff. He'll want to get rid of some players, hopefully Mahrez. You know, new manager might just come in and trust the youth. Might want a couple of players here, there. Again, Haaland seems to be the obvious choice. A little over 60 million as a release clause. Why not? You saying we can't afford that? Sorry, mate. I think it's nonsense. So let's see where Chris wants physical limitations, even to world-class athletes. We're seeing that now with all these injuries, with all the teams. Lorraine Raxall. So Derek has said that City will win the Premier League. Love the confidence. Well, no, I don't know. What does everyone else think? City can win the league this year, or will win the league this season? Let us know. Let us know in the comments. Mr. Offside, aka Jesus, can't be our number one choice as a striker in City. No way. Well, again, he's not an out-and-out striker. And again, I think that's part of the reason why he's offside so much. You put him in the middle, he's not a clue where the defenders are. And yet, the amount of times when he plays out wide, he's offside far less. Because he's got a good view down the line. He knows where to be and knows when to make his runs. That's where he plays best. Raheem Sterling last night, far better when he was out wide. You know, it's obvious. Players where they're supposed to be playing. You know. Jenny Chester, morning. Well, Samuels, we won't waste our money on someone old or not good enough. Top strikers, we couldn't afford another until we clear some wages. Think summer, that will be number one priority. Please be Haaland. But again, at the minute, when you've got... I know what you're saying, obviously, you know, you're not going to get a world-class striker. I mean, there were some people saying, like, oh, Mbappe, and that's never going to happen. Like Neymar and all that. But what you need is a striker who's going to put the ball in the back of the net. So you're going to need just a proven goal scorer. That's all you need. We've got the players who can provide the assists. You've got the players who can put the balls in the box. How many times do we see the ball zipping across the 6-yard box and no one there to poke it home? It's unreal. It happens far too often. Or the amount of times that, so, you know, Mahrez, for instance, takes a shot at goal and it's, you know, it's fumbled or it's deflected, it's bobbling around in the air. There's no one there to just poach it and put it in the back of the net. So, doesn't necessarily have to be world class. You know, we don't buy world class players, do we? I don't know who it is, but I'll get to that Harry Kane comment in a minute. I think you should be banned. I've seen Troy Deeney's name. I'm not a massive fan of Troy Deeney, but he can put the ball in the back of the net. Like Shane Long. I don't really like, you know, Shane Long's not City quality, but for a season or two, he'd put the ball in the back of the net when it matters most. That is literally what we need. We've got Delap. Delap made his first team debut and scored, and then was brought on as a sub against Leicester when we were playing crap. And he hits the crossbar. So he's clearly got the talent. I think he can certainly cope with Premier League teams. He just needs the chance. Toby Lee, I think the article said we couldn't afford a striker that's on the same quality as Sergio and Gabriel. Well, in terms of quality, well, I know Pep has mentioned the same quality as Sergio and Gabriel, but if you look at them two at the minute, they're both injured. So, what realistically, what is their current worth to City? Apart from a bloody expensive medical bill, because they're literally sat not contributing to the team. I'm not saying we don't. Obviously, I'm not saying we get rid of them. I'm not saying we don't like them. Don't get me wrong. Don't start having a go. But as it stands, they're useless to us at this moment in time because they can't play. So, you speak about quality. We spent £40 million on Nathan Ake. Would somebody have said he was the same quality centre back as the likes of Laporte or company? No. He's come in, but he's done a good job. Again, part of it's the players around you. If you've got... God, the players on the City squad, even I'd get some goals if I was stood up at top end of in centre near the penalty box. The balls just fly in. Someone's just mentioned Ings. I'll get to the comments in a minute, but yeah, Ings. Danny Ings, he's not going to cost the world, is he, from Burnley? These are professional footballers at the end of the day. You look at those players, your Danny Ings, your Troy Deeney's, you got even Calvert-Lewin. Look at the service they get at their clubs. The teams they play for are shite. The teams they play for literally defend in most games because they haven't got the technical ability to control the game. And yet they still get goals. And you often find, especially with the lower clubs, a lot of those strikers tend to be their penalty takers, and they score those penalties. That's something City have struggled with, is a solid penalty taker. So, something like that. That's what you could do with. That's what City need. Just a normal striker, someone who's going to score goals. Right. Lorraine Raxall, we need another defender just like Vincent Kompany. At the minute, I think we have that. I think we've got Diaz and Laporte. I think both of them in another year or two will step up and possibly take the armband and become our new first team captain. I can't see Kevin De Bruyne keeping it for full term. Or full time. Obviously, yes, I know KDB's a great player, but let's just leave him. Leave him to do his bit. Don't worry about the captaincy, Kevin. So yeah, Christophe, still think Troy Deeney would be good in City. At the minute, I'd take him. Andy Hutchinson, no money to spend. A reference to financial fair play. Well, like I said, Sane we sold for peanuts. What was it? We sold Sane for, was it 40 million? Or just over 40 million? Which pretty much cancels out the purchase of Nathan Ake. And then we spent 20 million on Torres. Okay. Plus, we did sell a number of other young players. Players like Adarabio, for instance. I know we got a good loan fee for Jack Harrison. So I would pretty much say, chances are, this transfer window, we probably made a small profit from the players we sold. Not to mention, there's no way on earth Nathan Ake or Ferran Torres are going to be on money that Leroy Sané was on as a weekly wage. Plus, David Silva's left, so that's another wage is gone. So in terms of financial fair play, mate, the money really should have been there. We won the Premier League, we got plenty of image right. I think there was only Liverpool that earned more money than us last season. So, And again, they were happy to be looking at signing Lionel Messi if they could afford his wages. Like I said, Edison Cavani, he'd score goals at City if you give him the ball. You know, he'd have cost nothing apart from his wages. Luis Suarez, another one. He'd score goals at City. He cost 5 million. So, I'm sorry, Andy, but I think financial fair play isn't even part of the issue at the minute. I think we're going to get a big name striker rather than a short-term solution. Yeah, I'd like I said, Haaland seems to be the one, but I can't understand why we haven't gone for him. But again, at the minute, we need a striker. We haven't got one. So look what else we got. PSG can spend 400 million on strikers, but Pep decided to go the other way on defenders. Well, yeah. And yet, PSG got to Champions League final and we didn't. Lorraine Raxall, can Pablo Zabaleta... Oh, can he be the next manager of Manchester City? I wouldn't have him as Man City's manager, just because we don't know what he can do managerial-wise. I'd possibly give him the EDS management job, though. I'd certainly have him at City, working with the youngsters. I think that would be a wise move. Right, all I can see now, because I've got an obstruction of the brand newest comment, but I can just see Manchester is blue, the supporters page, and I can see Belot. So Dan Fielden is clearly suggesting Belotti. Yep. Neil Riley, Harry Kane, end off. God almighty, mate. Oh. Okay, for anyone listening, whatever medication or recreational products Neil Riley could be on, I'm not saying he is, but if he is on anything, don't take any yourself, please, because it clearly sends you insane. Harry Kane. Oh, Jesus. Okay, Lloyd Samuels. If we buy Haaland, we can actually cross a ball in. Oh, yeah. Not seen it since Dzeko left. Yeah, was it City Dave pointed out Dzeko's scored more goals now for Roma than he had at Manchester City. And we sold him. We sold him for next to nothing. Absolutely. It really, really winds me up. Okay, Frank Lane, early days, all the complaints, only lost one game and a game in hand, so yes, things will click and we will win the league and prove all the doubters wrong. Okay. I thought we'd lost more than one game. Oh, I can't remember. It's too early this time in the morning. But yeah, positivity, we're going to win the league. Adam O'Toole, Calvert-Lewin, again. Certainly wouldn't be a long-term solution. And I think Everton would probably try and fleece you for that guy. Neil, missed little Sean Wright-Phillips, yeah. Shawnee Wright. Neil Riley, a no to Harry Kane no to Kane and Long and Deeney. Yeah. Honestly, mate, I'd rather try and get Eric Cantona out of retirement and offer him the spot as a striker at City rather than have Harry Kane in our squad. Harry Kane is that much of a bell end. I can't stand the guy. I don't want it anywhere near City. And every City fan knows what they think about Cantona, so no. Just no to Kane. Jenny Chester, yeah, exactly. W2F Harry Kane. Yeah. James Taylor, transfer rumour of Kylian Mbappe bid by City. Peppers didn't. Yeah. If they're saying we can't afford a player, why would you be going for Kylian Mbappe, who's going to be hundreds of millions? I don't know which one of the admins it says about Shane Long can't score in a brothel. I'll try my luck with Ings. The point I was making was literally any decent striker would be able to score at City, is basically the point. And when I say any decent striker is your sort of mid to lower Premier League, maybe top half of the Championship kind of player. You know, Ollie McBurney. I can't even think of half of these players' names. That, you know, obscure. Haaland and Delap could be the future. That would be nice, but I can't imagine. Well, certainly not with Pep anyway. Can't imagine two tall centre forwards. Yeah, Matt Jordan, Ings, much better in a good side like us. Neil, the thing is, Sergio came back too quick and now he's paying for it, yeah. I said that, I can't remember if it was just in the admin chat or whether it was actually on one of the podcasts we've done recently about Sergio Aguero. He's just coming back from a long-term injury. Usually you would get the last sort of 20-30 minutes of a game, you know, and slowly ease you in back to the match, you know, bring you on as a substitute, by which point, you know, opposition defenders have already been playing 60-70 minutes. They're getting a bit tired. You know, you don't have to work as hard to be able to beat them. But he's been starting and playing the first 50-60 minutes, and now he's knackered again. You know, and yet Zinchenko, who comes back from injury, he was brought on for the last bit the other day, wasn't he, against West Ham. So, you know, and then obviously he starts against Marseille, but again, Marseille were playing a very defensive game, so it's a different altogether. But you don't bring a player back from injury and stick them straight in the starting 11. You know, you ease them in. So again, I don't know what's going on there. Oh, thanks Andy Hutchinson. Yeah, Ings at Southampton, not Burnley. Okay, I told you that obscure. I can't even remember half the names or who they play for anymore. You'd score a billion more if Mahrez wasn't playing. Well, yeah. But Guardiola, a young player. That's what we need. Lloyd Samuels, you've just hit the nail on the head, mate. Cavani would score for us, but at United, I smell a Falco. That could be a new phrase, that I smell a Falco. But yeah, again, it's all about the players you put in. You know, the players that go play around you. Football's a team game, doesn't matter how good you are. Could you imagine Leo Messi playing for Bolton? You know, he'd hardly get the ball. He'd have to do it all himself, and he's never going to track back and defend, is he? So, yeah, it's about what you've got around you, especially as a striker. It's who you've got giving you the ball. If you've got world-class players passing, then you're going to get goals. 3 names should be on the short list. Oh, for God's sake. Okay, I'll correct you on there. 1 name should be on that short list. It's Haaland. The other ones are Dybala and Lautaro Martinez. Oh, my God. I can't think of any club in the world who could even afford any of those 3. Well, all 3 of them. I can't even think of anyone who'd afford 2 of them. But, again, Haaland's got the release clause. So, Dybala, I don't think he'll leave Juventus. I think he's quite happy there. And Martinez has already said the Premier League's too tough for him. So, I want hard players, not softies. And then, all disappeared, sorry. Someone keeps saying Harry Kane, yeah, give Red a wobble. Dybala's not a striker, apparently. Okay, Gabriel Jesus back. It's going to be months. Poor lad's hurt his shin. Andy Hutchinson just inside the mind of Mahrez, a swap with PSG for Mbappe would be a fair deal, I wish. Opinions on Zinchenko. Toby Lee. I know he's not the best left back, but he looks more organised and better for our defence. Right. Bit of education then. Or not education, bit of insight into my head. So if you've got a seatbelt, make sure he's buckled. I've always been the opinion that I mean, you basically can register 25 players for your Premier League. So I always think 25 players, you have your two teams, not first team and a second team. You basically have two squads that can compete with each other, and that can, I always like the idea of having two ways of playing. So, you might have fast technical players for one style of football, and then a bit more direct. And, if you take your strikers, you've got Aguero and you had Dzeko. One's small, can run at defenders, track back, tenacious, and then you also had Dzeko, the tall guy, ping the ball up to him and he scores. Two different styles, two world-class players, both score goals. Okay? Same with goalkeepers. Joe Hart, good goal, shot stopper. And then you had the likes of Costal Pantilimon, who could claim from a corner and not just stay on his line. Again, two different styles. Okay? So you have your two teams, that's 22 players. Your other three are what I call your sort of utility subs. And they're the players that you use in rotation for keeping players fit, but they're also on the bench and they can come on to either change a game or settle a game down, create chances, score goals when you need it, whatever. Zabaleta was one of those kinds of... he was a quality right back, but the guy was so agile. He could play left back, right back, defensive mid, right wing. He could play all over. Zinchenko is very similar to Zabaleta in my opinion. He works hard for the club. Okay, he really does work hard for City. He wants to play for City. He can play left back, he can play left wing, he can play central midfield, defensive midfield, even right wing. You've got a player he's basically just a player that turns up and says, look, where do you want me to play? I'll go play it. Might not be the best in the world. He knows he's not the best at what he does, but he'll do his best. Yes, he makes mistakes like all players do, but he makes the effort. I think the way when he plays left back, he's very attacking. He's not the best at tackling. He reminds me very much of Kolarov in that sense. He can cross it. He's not as good, obviously, on the free kicks or the long shots, but he can cross a ball. He likes getting forward, but getting back he's not clumsy, but I think he dives in the odd time into tackles a bit too much and either misses them and they go past him or he commits a foul. But again, he does the job. Toby Lee's just mentioned James Milner. He's very much that kind of player. He'll just do the job that he needs to do. I like Zinchenko. I think he's certainly the best option we've got at left back at the minute. But again, I don't understand why we got rid of Angelino. Angelino I still rate was better than Mendy's so injury prone. And even when he's on the pitch, you just sense that he'd get distracted by like a seagull flying over. If it made a noise, you'd be like, oh, what's that? There's something about him. He's such a good player as well, Mendy, which is the worst part of it. He's so technically gifted. He's so fast. And he's a bit, he's a strong lad. And again, he does try his best, but there's just something about Mendy. He's not what the player we first signed. Since that injury, I think everything's gone a bit pear-shaped for him, bless him. So, personally, I'd have kept Angelino as the left back and had Zinchenko play wherever we need. But yeah, my opinion on Zinchenko, I like him. I hope we keep him. I know there was talk of trying to offload him. Adam O'Toole, Zinchenko has the attitude and work ethic I wish Garcia had. Not only that, Adam, I honestly think Zinchenko has the attitude and work ethic I wish half of our players had. It's the passion. I think we bought him, but I think it was only something like $2.5 million we bought him for. It's an absolute bargain. And early on in his City career, it was looking like we were going to sell him. And he turned around and refused. He said, no, I want to stay and fight for my spot. Which he did. Mendy got injured, didn't he? And he took over, and that Centurions winning season, he was phenomenal all year. So, I think he's definitely a keeper. Got Toby Lee saying, let's bring back Angelino, and I don't mind his coach as well if Pep leaves. Exactly. I think maybe that's part of the reason we haven't actually sold him in the first place, and I think that's part of the reason why, because he was on loan last season with a view to buy, and Leipzig turned around and says, oh, well, we can't quite afford that, I'm afraid. And I think there's been a few times, hold on, if you like Angelino, have him this year, work with him again. He'll be here when you, we'll bring him with you. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. Going to wrap this up a bit. Obviously, we've just had a really good win against Marseille. Like I said, not what I expected. Not going to lie. I'd have lost money at the bookies if I'd have put a bet on that. Marseille were shockingly crap. They really didn't play like I expected them. I thought they were going to be another Lyon. Sit back and defend. And when they break with pace and real ferocity. But they were just shite, Doesn't take away from how we played. Don't get me wrong. It is what it is. We're now 2 for 2 in the Champions League. It was a good result away from home. Hopefully that'll now transfer to the league and we can start pulling our finger out with the Premier League, because we've been fairly mediocre in that department. I'm not happy. I mean, we're still in the bottom half of the bloody table at the minute. I know it's only 5 games in or something daft, but we aren't where we should be, is the fact. One thing I will mention, obviously we've got Sheffield United coming at weekend, but something that's only just struck me, we've had 3 away games on the trot now, or we will have had 3 away games on the trot, which seems a little unfair. Obviously with Mahrez and the lads really tired, that's a lot of travelling, especially in this kind of climate at the minute with the COVID. Marseille is obviously on the south coast of France, isn't it? So it's not the shortest, it's not just a quick channel hop. Then you got to come back, then we're going to Sheffield. I think Sheffield are going to play fairly defensive. I think Sheffield's going to be a tough game at weekend. I mean, all games in the Premier League are fairly tough, but I honestly think this is going to be a bit of a battle. Bit concerned with the idea of possibly picking up some injuries, which fingers crossed we won't, but if I was a betting man, I'd probably put money on a player coming off injured at some point with the way things have been going. Not because I want that to happen or anything. I think it's just because it seems like a sure bet, doesn't it? But obviously we're going to have, I believe Dan Fielden will be doing the commentary for that, which, if you watched last night, again, absolutely stunning. Belting commentary there from Dan. What do we all think of the game at Sheffield? Do we think we're going to get a win? I've got some score predictions for me. Just because, I probably won't be doing I won't be on the preview show this week, I'm afraid. But I want to know what people think, what they think will be the result. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go for a 2-1 City win. I'm not even going to bother with the idea of what team we're going to be playing, because between now and then there could be more injury updates and God knows what. So, and I think this season's harder than ever to try and predict what Pep's playing. Andy Hutchinson just reckons that Zinchenko should get his spot in central midfield like he plays for Ukraine, which again, he's captain of Ukraine, isn't he? So yeah, imagine him next to Kevin De Bruyne with Torres and Foden on the wings. That'd be fantastic. So we've had some scores coming through. Frank Lane says 2-0 City. Hey Dad, do you remember last time we were at Sheffield United? That bloody... I think... No, this was going back some years. I mean, this must be... I think it'd have been 97, possibly. Yeah, 1997, December. Left my mum and my sister shopping in Meadowhall. Me and my dad went to the... Is it Bramhall Lane, Sheffield United's home ground. Losing 1-0 for most of the game. And then in front of the away fans, I think it was like the 91st minute or something daft, we got a corner. And the ball came in, and Kevin Horlock managed to get a toe on the end of it, and we drew 1-1. I remember catching the tram back to Meadowhall with my dad. He's trying to cover his City shirt with his coat and everything, and I'm just sat there like the full kit wanker. And I had one of those rattles as well that was had City all over it. There were so many angry Sheffield United fans on that tram. That was really funny. I believe Kevin Horlock said after the game the City fans sucked the ball into the back of the net. Oh, those were some good... They were good days. They were good days. So yeah, Christopher's 3-1 City. Torres with 2, Sterling 1. So you reckon Torres is going to be on again? Okay, Jenny Chester, 2-0 City. Neil Horrell. Bye, Laney. Thanks for reading my comment. Hey, no problem, mate. I'll do what I can. It's 2-0 City. Foden to score first. So there you are. Any punters wanting a fancy in a bet? You've got plenty of predictions to chew over. Now, one thing I'm going to just mention now before I do go. And for anyone who's still watching, well done. That's some achievement. But yeah, tomorrow morning at 9:30, I'm going to be doing a live podcast on here. But I'm going to be doing it. It's not necessarily a Manchester City podcast. Okay, it's going to be one for mental health. Obviously, I'm sure we're all aware now of what happened to young Jeremy Whiston. You know, the poor young lad, 17 years old, taking his own life following his release from Man City. I don't know if any of you have seen in the media the last day or two, but Bolton Wanderers manager has come under a lot of scrutiny for comments he made about his goalkeeper, a 20-year-old. I think he made only something like 7 or 8 league appearances. You know, he's only come into the squad this season. You know, he's made the step up, and post-match comments, he's turned around and told him to man up, which has come under a lot of scrutiny. So, it's side to this, and obviously the history City have got with other players who've suffered mental health issues, you know, like Michael Johnson, Paul Lake, David White, just to name a couple. I am going to do a special tomorrow, just as a one-off. Going to go through some of the stuff that I've been through, because, you know, we don't just become as insane as I am overnight, you know. It takes years of work. But yeah, going to be doing a mental health special tomorrow, so please tune into that, because mental health and depression, things like that, it's one of those horrible things that's not biased. It can affect everyone, anyone and everyone. So yeah, tune in, tell your friends, you know, let them know as well. Like I said, this isn't just a City thing, this is a across the board. So yeah, that'll be 9:30. I'll be posting it on the page, the advert for it. But yeah, 9:30 tomorrow morning. Mental health special. Obviously, we'll have the preview show coming up on Friday as well, I believe. And Dan Fielden will probably be doing his watch-along commentary at the weekend. Just a couple of last comments for you. Dan Fielden. Dan Fielden reckons 6-0 to City. Adam O'Toole 1-0 City. Chris Fons, after this Champions League game, he deserves a start. Yeah, he does. Well done, Torres. Playing well. Andy Hutchinson, you can't see it, has perhaps got a love in with Mahrez for some reason, but he's going 3-1 City. Jenny Chester, I hope you put a bet on that, darling. Winning 3-0 yesterday, if you were right, well done. So yeah, that's me done for this morning. Thanks very much for tuning in and listening to my drivel, as usual. I think I kept it relatively clean as well this morning. It's only Dan Fielden shows that bring the worst out in me. But yeah, anyway, take care of yourselves, have a good day, stay safe, and as City Dave always says, City till we die. Take care, guys.